Hello, everyone. Welcome to our lupus and fibromyalgia friends out there. I'm Melissa Tolwer from the Support Fibromyalgia Network, and we're joined by Estella. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Estella Mata, one of the co-founders of Looms for Lupus, a non-profit organization that was founded to support those living with lupus and overlapping conditions such as fibromyalgia, their loved ones, and caregivers. And today, we're just excited to be here again. My sister Juana could not make it, but we are here today for you.
I know it's good to be back. I definitely I love these because we get to connect. We get to talk about everything that we're working on within the communities and do some amazing updates from the other communities as well. So it's nice to be here. If everybody's here enjoying coffee, which I probably need more of, or eating your lunch if you're on the East Coast.
Right, that's true. We always think of like coffee just in the morning, but we can have coffee all day.
Well, you and Juana can have coffee all day. I have a cutoff point of 2 o'clock, and only
Oh, that's true.
I probably should do it even earlier, but just to see how it affects me, I may be one of those. But we had a conversation off screen for everyone to know that I think Estella and Juana have genetics where it's just they can metabolize it so fast that they can drink coffee even later in the evening, and it supposedly doesn't affect your stress. I don't know.
Exactly. Yes, you're completely right. So I think Juana did something about like plate, is it plate or something like that? And they were able to tell her what she can eat and what she can't eat and how she metabolizes. So it was pretty interesting to see that. She's always been into trying to figure out what's natural way of eating for her blood type, eating for, obviously to prevent inflammation, just more organic eating and just using a lot of like natural ways also to heal herself. So it's been so interesting that she's been doing this for over 20 years and we are just barely learning more about it and talking about it, which is, quite interesting.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. I think we need to have that conversation again once we can have her back and talking about nutrition and genetics and how it relates.
Yes, she definitely has a lot of knowledge. She's always just so shy to talk. Or maybe I just talk too much. Who knows? We'll just say that she's shy. So I won't take, the blame for it.
Well, let's get started and dig into some of our news for today with our slideshow. It's November 6th, 2020. We are here in November, our first episode of November.
Yes, I can't believe 2020 is almost over and we've been so busy. So you would think that because of the pandemic, it would have slowed us down, right? So it did slow us down with the traveling, but it did not slow us down with everything that we have been working on with our community. And you know this more than anyone, Melissa, because we've known each other a couple of years now. And since day one, we have been running together. And it's just been so amazing to be able to work on so many projects with you and obviously doing this community updates because you are so amazing and you thought of this and I couldn't have thanked you more than anything now because a lot of the stuff that we do we like to do with you, so I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate working with Looms for Lupus and all the hard work you're doing. And I think one thing we talked about too was how great it is. In some ways, like we don't have to physically travel anymore to these conferences. So we get to attend more conferences and get to share this information with everyone. And I really encourage people out there when we post these links to register. Some have a cost to it, and then some are free, to really just attend these events as much as you can while they're all virtual, because we can watch it in our pajamas, which is great. We don't have to change our clothes or jump on a plane and have all this like anxiety over it and behind the screens. It's been fun.
That is so true. I think that's been the great thing about this is that we could stay home and then just continue to multitask and do a couple of things. So it's been amazing.
Well, there's a lot going on in the next 2 weeks. So November is fun and it's good. We have a lot to do and there's a lot of things that we can talk about. So of course, first on the list, I'll let you go with Looms, the Looms for Lupus support group, November 14th. You have a special guest as well.
Yeah, so we're excited. So November 14th, Saturday, November 14th is going to be super busy day. So we encourage you guys to participate if you have lupus or fibromyalgia and overlapping conditions, to please email us so we can give you the information or reach out to us to attend the support group. We have an amazing GSK representative, Alicia, that's going to be attending the support group and talking about the Us and Lupus platform. They have updated it. They have a lot of great information, and she's going to be on with us for a couple of for part of the support group. So she's not taking over the whole support group. So still know that you can still attend the support group, and we're going to have that. But we're also going to be talking about gratefulness, just things that we are grateful for. So tune in, and please, if you want to join us on Saturday, November 14th at 9:30 a.m., send us the information. Send us an email, and we'll send you the information.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to join this support group meeting. I know that I want to see more participation again. While things are virtual and you can get the support that you need, you'd be surprised on how good it is to actually connect with other people in the community, even though right away you may not feel like you need it. But I've heard from a lot of people that weren't sure and they've attended these meetings and they feel so much better afterwards. So I encourage everyone to participate and send a message to Looms for Lupus. We'll be sharing the links to get the more information on that. So please participate in these support groups. We also are celebrating 2 things this month. So complex regional pain syndrome. So this is CRPS Awareness Month. It's also National Native American Heritage Month. There's a lot going on, I know, for CRPS, but I think also with the Native American Heritage Month, I was trying to do some research, and maybe that's an area that we as organizations need to put some links together. But I don't know if you have resources in the lupus community that focuses on that. I know there was nothing for fibromyalgia.
No, that's one of the things that I think we've realized is that there's not a lot of specific information for like the Native Americans. And, it does impact, lupus does impact minority groups. And that's one of the things I think that we have to work on. I think all organizations, we need to be more inclusive, more diverse, and we need to be able to reach out to everyone. So yes, I agree with you. And good morning to everyone. I see a couple of messages popping up. I'm not on Facebook myself, but I'll see them pop up here. So good morning to everyone.
Yeah, it's a good morning to everyone or good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. That's right.
But in of awareness, we'll get to, there's other conferences too that kind of go along with CRPS awareness. And then also you just did a Nervember promotional video too for eye pain. Yeah. So I listed those, but I think next week on November 12th, we have the Patient Access Summit and you're on the steering committee. So I was supposed to pull up some of the agenda items, but can you explain what the task force does?
Yes, so I'll just read this from the Creating Patient Access Task Force. So as part of Creating Patient Access Task Force, we will be holding our Patient Access Summit to collaborate with key patient leaders, healthcare providers, advocates, regulators, and legal experts, ending with a momentum for 2021 project outcome success for our task groups. So basically, it's a group of all of us working together to get better healthcare access for everyone in the United States. So what does this mean? For a long time, the patients were not part of these conversations about healthcare access. And everything has been patient-centric, and it can't be really, or the talk has been patient-centric, and you can't have anything patient-centric if you don't have the patient involved in their treatment. So one of the major things that we talk about is getting better healthcare access for everyone. So it's going to be great. Most of the topics are about what is lacking or what the issues are for healthcare access. healthcare access for the aging group, healthcare access for chronic illness. So it's basically everything runs around the healthcare access for patients.
Perfect. And we have all the registration links in the description of this video. So if you have any questions,
free. That one's free.
And it's November 12th, so it's coming up next week. And just register. If you have any problems finding the links, we'll be happy to share it with you. So just post a comment and let us know that you're interested in registering, and we'll definitely get you to the right link.
Yes, this one's only 2 hours. Just, I wanted to note that, so you don't, so don't think that this is going to be like days.
Although some of us don't mind days, but I guess, yeah, it's for November 12th, and, you can join in, and it's good to have these conferences coming up. We also, this is just a shout out again for CRP awareness, is the Burning Nights virtual conference, November 15th. This is an organization I was able to connect with, and it was amazing to meet Victoria and her husband last year. They were a WeGo Health Award winner, but they have a nonprofit based in the UK, Burning Nights CRPS organization. And so they're hosting their annual event. It is in UK time, but we have posted the link. It is free to attend. So just register and support their great work. I had a great conversation with them about supporting the efforts to get more information about CRPS out there. So it was definitely give them a shout out. We also have the annual Eye Pain Summit on November 14th, which actually Estella is leading and hosting a stage. So that's exciting.
It is. So not only, well, this is the 14th annual summit, so it's amazing. But there are two special things that I want to mention. Well, one, obviously, it's for patients with chronic pain, living with chronic pain, for all the different conditions. But it is the first time that they ever have Spanish presentation. So I will be leading a Spanish presentation, and so will my friend Jesus Guillen. So we're already, setting breaking records there. So this is the first time that that's going to happen. But yes, I will also be a host. I will be hosting all of stage 4. So I'll be presenting, and I will also be one of the hosts. So I'm pretty excited about that. And it is the Eye Pain Summit on November 14th. And there is a fee to register for that. But I did announce last week that we are going to be giving away, I think I had mentioned like 1, but I might be able to give away 2 seats so you guys can attend the Eye Pain Summit. So we will be announcing it. So I'll work together with Melissa, we can figure out something so we can invite 2 people to attend for free. So I'm excited about that.
And that conference is hosted by the International Pain Foundation. You're familiar with Barbie and Ken and their amazing work that they do. So we are definitely excited to support them and their conference. Everything had to switch virtually again, which is nice for most of us.
Yes, it is. And then the good thing is, again, any information that is discussed. So for those of you that don't attend, we will be giving you like summaries of what's going on or what is discussed. So for sure, I'll be talking about my presentation, and I'll host it, live here so you guys can see what we talked about or what I presented on.
Yay, I'm excited to see you present and host and
en español.
Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit of a challenge, but
I'll translate it for you.
I think is there something that automatically translates on the video presentations for you? Maybe I should enable
we need to create something, because no, there isn't. And a lot of times if you try and do like Google Translate, the things they come up with, it's so funny.
I'm wondering though if I could caption it and then it captions in the translate. I don't know. Someone, if there's a plugin for that.
I love it.
And the last tool on the list is definitely a shout out to the Chronic Disease Coalition. They just put out this extensive advocacy toolkit for chronic disease. I'm still going through it because there's just so much information on advocacy and for different levels too. If you're just starting out with different types of advocacy, and we're talking about more federal and state advocacy legislation. So if you're starting out, they have a lot of information for that. Or if you've been doing it for a while, they still have information for you. It's a very comprehensive toolkit, and I know that they're going to be launching more tools for us to use. So I'm excited to share that information. I think I left that out in the description. So when we're done with the video, I'll be sure to add that back in.
Yes, and I did see that post that you posted. So I haven't gone into it and, haven't had time. How funny, huh? But I will make time because, these toolkits are amazing. I just wish they would be shorter, to be honest with you, because that's why we need a toolkit. We need to be able to just have like a couple of things. So, but I'm looking forward to looking at that. One of the things that we didn't add here to the list that I wanted to talk about or give a shout out to, if you guys have lupus, and if you guys know who Kelly from More Than Lupus is, please follow the More Than Lupus page. Tomorrow, well, Saturday, they are going to have a Revive and Thrive symposium. And they're going to be featuring a lupus specialist and author of the best-selling book, The Lupus Encyclopedia. So if you have lupus, you know who that is. And you know that is almost like the Bible of the lupus community. So it's going to be hosted virtually on Facebook, and you don't need to register. But they're going to be doing a lot of giveaways, and they're going to have a lot of fun things. So if you guys are available, please tune in November 7th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook Live under More Than Lupus.
That's wonderful. I mean, we need to bring Kelly on for one of these community connects. She's been doing a lot of great work in the lupus community. She's been hosting a ton of symposiums, and she has our videos with makeup. I feel bad, Kelly, because you asked me for tips, and I'm like, Kelly, I am so far to have no idea what to do for makeup tips. Like, I think I'm at like the beginner, like, what do I even buy? How do I match my foundation? So like, that's like basic. And I think some of you are a little bit further along than I am. So
just a little bit. She just did one on contouring, with a lot of the people that take prednisone, they get the moon face. So the contouring is what makes you kind of, cut. So I use it a little bit because my cheeks are a little, big here. But yeah, so her videos are they're fun, and it's just amazing to watch her do that. So yes, she's been having a lot of symposiums, so it's amazing to be able to work together with her. And that's what we do. We collaborate and we work together with all of these patient-led organizations, because we are in the community and we are all about the community.
Well, and definitely please support the patient-led organizations like us. We really need the fundraising and the support. Share our videos at least, and like our pages, because it really helps. And then we get out to more patients in the community so that they know that they're not alone. We appreciate it.
Yes, and the funds that we get go back to the community. We don't get paid. You would think because we're always doing this, we would be getting paid for all of this. We do it because we know how hard it is to live with a chronic illness, and we want to support you, and we want you to know that you are not alone.
Exactly. And that's a big part of all the work we do. So please go check out the symposiums, join the support groups that we share. It's really important. I mean, these programs are created for the patient community directly. So we would love to increase participation as much as possible.
Yeah.
We're going to continue because we're excited. We have the ACR annual meeting taking place right now. And in the graphic, it says ACR annual meeting recap, but we're in the middle of the meeting. So we have to do like a part 2 of this, but this is the American College of Rheumatology's annual meeting. It's virtual this year. So I know there's some big news coming from Estella and Juana this year, and they've been participating. And I know they're keeping a lookout for fibromyalgia. I saw a lot of lupus content being shared and tweeted out. So that's exciting.
Yes. And you know what? One of the things that has been exciting is patients are really, or were never really allowed to be part of this annual conference, because this is where everyone from all over the world, rheumatologists, scientists, get together to discuss what's the greatest on research and what's, the latest on treatments and studies that have been done for all these rheumatic diseases. So 3 years ago, my sister and I had the opportunity to attend, and one of the booths actually had presented and done a video on caregiving, which is what Looms for Lupus, we support the caregivers. So, we wanted to attend, and we met an amazing organization who we are board members of right now, and it's the third national lupus organization. It's Lupus and Allied Diseases Association, and they have the only lupus support exhibition. Oh my gosh, booth. There you go, booth. And we also work the booth. So the booth is basically a group of patient advocates that work the booth. So it's different organizations. Kelly's there. Catherine, the program manager from Lupus LA, is there. We have, my sister Juana and I. A couple of years ago, we had Christine von Reisfeld, who is also a lupus and patient advocate. So it's always like a group of patient advocates and smaller patient-led organizations that have worked together with this organization to hold a seat at the table. So we were able to attend 3 years ago, and 3 years ago, we saw the first patient poster presentation, and it was like small 10 patient posters, not a big deal. And it was like on the side, not in the exhibition room, not with the other abstracts, not with the patient post, not with the other posters. And it was amazing to be able to see that. Fast forward to last year, there was a bigger presentation. There were more posters, and it was more in the middle of where like a lot of the rheumatologists and scientists were walking by. So we got a lot of attention. Then finally this year, if my sister and I would have been in a live setting, if this wouldn't be virtual, we would have been on a stage presenting at the American Rheumatology Conference. And that is beyond amazing, because, to see that, we were just talking about patient access and healthcare access, and, how everything's patient-centered. Patients were not included. And I think they are now understanding that the patient's perspective, a seat at the table, is a must. There is no way that you can treat a patient, have great healthcare outcomes without having the participation of the patient and or their caregiver. So yes, we are going to be presenting. There are several poster presentations. Yes, there's not a lot of fibromyalgia, but every fibromyalgia poster that's there, abstract, I am pulling away, and we are going to be bringing that information to you guys. We are right in the middle. The kickoff was yesterday. A couple of presentations were on. I posted a couple of those, and then the bulk of it is going to be today and the weekend and on Monday. So we want to do a whole day well, not a whole day dedication, but a whole hour dedicated to or part 2 of this ACR update, where we talk about fibromyalgia and what's new in fibromyalgia and what's new in the lupus community. And I mean, I'm just excited, Melissa. I mean, to think that, again, 3 years ago, we saw the beginning of the inclusivity of patients, and to now be part of that is amazing. We're going to have an interview also to talk about that. We have the University of Detroit that's going to be, interviewing us. And I think it's a psychology department, because our poster presentation is about mental health and living and providing the tools for not only those living with lupus, overlapping conditions like fibromyalgia, but their loved ones and caregivers. And that's one thing that we had focused on from the get-go. When my sister started, feeling depressed and going through all the treatments, losing her hair at the initial, when she first was diagnosed with lupus, not only almost losing her life, that was traumatic, but living now with a disease that didn't have, or an illness that didn't have a cure or a treatment back then, specifically approved for lupus. was devastating. And it was devastating for all of us, not knowing if your sister's going to die tomorrow, not knowing if there's a cure. It's just overwhelming. And, we knew that we needed to provide support and tools to the family that was going to support her. And we've been doing this for 10 years, and it's just amazing to finally see people understanding the importance of it. And that's what we're going to be presenting on. And I'm going to get emotional, and I was trying not to, but we take our life for granted. Every day we wake up and we should be grateful because we're breathing. Living with a chronic condition, not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring, waking up with, pain, and just the toll that it takes on your mental health can be overwhelming. Add the pandemic to this year, there's actually so many things that we go through, and we just want to empower each other and uplift each other. And that's what you do, and that's why we talk. And, we don't want you guys to feel alone, because we are here for you. And no one should ever feel alone. That's why we do what we do.
Exactly. And you and Juana are such an inspiration to our community. And it's tremendous to know. I know that you won't get to be on that stage physically to present, but it will come again when we can attend conferences in person. But still, that a moment to be at the American College of Rheumatology, who is notorious in the past for keeping patients out, is such a big deal. And we need to create these environments where more patients are involved and people that can speak about the community and get these providers again connected, because they're not our enemies, but we need them to understand what we go through and know that a lot of these conditions, we can all work together to move forward. And it's tremendous.
Yes, and shout out to the American College of Rheumatology for stepping up and understanding the importance of inclusivity. Next thing, we just need to make sure that they focus on fibromyalgia and update a couple of the things. So that's our next our next task, Melissa.
Well, and we have an interesting question here is, why are we personally bunching these two illnesses together? Well, okay, so yes, fibromyalgia and lupus, but if you look at the science behind lupus, the lupus community, there's a lot of people who have fibromyalgia and lupus, and there's a lot of lupus within the community. Juana has both. She was diagnosed with lupus and fibromyalgia. Estella has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Her daughter has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and Cassidy has chronic pain. It's a family, and we have to work together. So I think this is a big issue of working in silos, where even we'll have more videos on functional medicine, but if we look at functional medicine and treating the root causes of disease itself, we're very similar. We can utilize the same tools to help each other. So I love it. I love talking with other people in the chronic illness community. And by the way, if everyone out there is confused, Looms for Lupus was a huge supporter at our advocacy day. They know what it takes, and they've done it with the lupus community, the advocacy and legislation. So more power to us working together.
Yes, definitely. And then another thing, Melissa, that you do bring up is functional medicine. So when you're a functional medicine health coach or certified functional medicine health coach, and one of the things that I don't think a lot of people know is what the role is, or what your role as a functional medicine health coach is, and how it can help the whole community, not just those living with fibromyalgia or lupus, but everyone. And yes, autoimmune conditions are there. There is a component that's genetic. So it's always good to know. And even if at all, if you don't have lupus or fibromyalgia, you may know someone that has it. So it's always good to get information and get connected. That's one. Another thing that's very, very important is living with a chronic illness, whether you're diabetic, whether you're hypertensive, whether those are the most common, or have heart conditions. All this takes a toll on your body, and your mental health is impacted. So a lot of the things and that we talk about are kind of encompassing of your overall health. So
Right.
that's just something to consider.
Well, and it's interesting because it's when it comes to even the science, and we'll get to some of the abstracts at the ACR, we're looking at overlapping autoimmune conditions, overlapping arthritis conditions, and there's a lot of abstracts that include fibromyalgia and looking at that. So as this overlaps, like overall, like you said, when it comes to overall health, like we need to talk about this and like actually ask the question, why is this happening? So we can actually look at it from a science perspective. So it's good. And I mean, when it comes to this, let's get into some of the abstract overviews. Let's move back to this.
Yeah.
And then,
But
okay,
that's
so
good. I'm glad that you guys are asking these questions, because a lot of people for a long time just thought that our support groups were about knitting, because our name is Looms for Lupus, so we're like, oh no, we're way beyond just knitting. And like you with the support fibromyalgia, them taking action, and Melissa, spearheading the advocacy day 2 years now ago, and inviting us to be part of this is pretty amazing, because a lot of organizations like to work on their own and like to get credit for everything. And it's not about getting the credit, it's about getting the work done and working together as a group. So, that is why Melissa and I get along so well.
well, and we've been meeting other advocates that get it, and I'm not sure if it's a generational thing, but when you work together, and there's a lot of us that understand. I mean, that's why next week we'll have Crystal Kent, talking about veterans health and advocacy. Like, we're all really doing a great job of working together, and I think we're pushing for change, and we're leading patients and changing the dynamic of the community. We have to work together no matter what our disease label is. I mean, it's one reason why I talk about Alzheimer's and dementia so much with brain health, or the Walls protocol with MS. Like, we have to talk about this all together and work together as advocates.
Definitely.
Well, okay, so let's get back to the abstract. I know I distracted. I got us
No,
off track because I saw a comment and I
no,
was
but
like,
it's all good. It's all good.
I'm like, wait, there's power. And again, I'm just so grateful to all of the lupus community embracing this too. I mean, Looms for Lupus, Kelly, it's just, Emmett, and just all the male for lupus warriors, like everybody's coming together and just embracing it, because fibromyalgia is a part of your community. And I'm never going to forget Dr. Jared Younger at the LDN conference. He said someone needs to research why there's so much prevalence of fibromyalgia in the lupus community. So anyone out there want to research that?
Right?
Yes, please.
Start working on your abstract.
Well, here's the abstract we want to celebrate most in all of this. And I know there were other patients that did abstracts, and
Yes.
we'll screenshot it in the next video. I was so excited for this one. Let's have you talk about this one.
Yes. So our abstract is called Knitting a Community of Hope. And where we are going to be talking about how we support, empower, and educate those living with lupus and overlapping conditions. So it's basically what we have been doing in our support groups, that we are shining the light at a bigger spectrum. So basically, we now have an audience to share this with, and we are letting them know how this has been so impactful and how it is so much needed. So my sister is basically the author and I'm the co-author. So we're going to be talking about all the different modalities, which if you have attended our support group or have heard us talk, we incorporate a lot of like mindfulness, meditation, art therapy, whether we do vision boards or, just like crafts to take our mind off things, painting. I mean, it's all things that you can incorporate and do, daily. I use a lot of journaling. I do a lot of mindfulness. As you can see, my brain is always working at 1,000 miles per hour. And sometimes I talk like my mind. It just shoots so many things. So many times. And Melissa knows, because I could be texting her something and then I text her something else, because that's just the way my brain works. So, and that's so important to use mindfulness. So I know that that's a flaw that I have. And in order to shut my brain down a little, and to calm myself down and to kind of, just bring myself back, I use a lot of mindfulness techniques, which is basically just centering yourself in the moment, you know, using all your senses, what do I see? How, do I feel it? Do I smell it? How do I see it? Like what color it is. So it's just a lot of different techniques. So we're going to be talking about that, and then just talking about how just building resilience amongst all these challenges that we have had, and how we continue to advocate, and we want everyone to know that they can do that as well.
And this is really significant because this lives on the rheumatology website. This is an abstract, and you can go to abstracts.org, and we have the links to the annual meeting as well. But I don't think people realize that patients can actually submit this and be a part of research.
Yes, and that's the thing. I think in the past, and with all of these submissions, you need to have a sponsor. So a national organization needs to sponsor you to do this. If the ACR is listening, we need to do a better job of allowing patients to not have someone that to back them up. Sometimes people don't know about these national organizations, and we bring it here to light. We talk about it, but I wish that there were opportunities for patients out there. I just submitted an application for another conference where, I wouldn't have been able to attend if I wouldn't have known about it. I got an email. I saw that I couldn't afford a conference, and I thought, I just won't apply for it. It's, I'm not going to get it. Or I might need like someone to sponsor me, like ask another organization, and they're not going to, choose me. And I applied for it and I got it. So I just wish that there were opportunities like that at the ACR for patients to be able to present directly, or to be able to submit some sort of abstract presentation poster without having to have a sponsor.
Well, and this is something that was new to me, that when we talked with Dr. April from the Autoimmune Community Institute, was patients being involved in research, which and just how you can be on a research paper, which I thought you always had to have like some sort of PhD degree. So I got really super excited. I mean, there's researchers, other people that do have those degrees involved, but just I guess I don't think I ever thought about it in that context. And so this is why it's so incredible. I mean, I don't know how many people out there realize that we could do this. So I'm still in awe. This is great. Congratulations to Looms for Lupus. I mean, look at this.
I know it's still pretty surreal.
Well, and Lupus Chat also has a presentation.
Yes.
So when we get into those videos, we definitely need to screenshot them. I know I did some work with Tiffany before, and then all the team for Lupus Chat.
Yes, and they're also amazing, and they're a patient-led organization, and they're very inclusive of other organizations like yourself, Melissa, like with fibromyalgia. So it's great to work with so many different patient advocates and patient-led organizations, and we thank, Lupus and Allied Diseases Association, who is the one that sponsored our poster. So we do want to do a shout out to Kathleen for not only having the booth at the ACR and putting all the patient advocates together, but also for supporting us and for sponsoring our poster.
And this is great work with bringing in something new for like support groups, because I think the vision sometimes of what we see as support groups is just a bunch of us sitting around, not really getting anywhere, so people tend to avoid it. And this is such a new dynamic. And I even admit, like, I wasn't sure, because I tend to I feel like I turn myself off to any art. But for anyone out there, I attended their support group meetings in person when they were doing it. Now it's virtual, and it's still great. But I was surprised at how I felt doing some of the art and like making necklaces, or just being there while other people were loom knitting, and we were still having a conversation. We were laughing, and I felt so calm, and I wasn't thinking about, oh, my pain. I was like, okay, I need to give this more of an open-minded opportunity. It's the best experience I've really had in a support group setting ever. So I commend you guys for creating this and putting the work out there for other people to see, and really you're, paving the way for something new.
Yes, definitely. And if anyone out there wants to start their support group and wants to incorporate all the tools that we have, please reach out to me. I want to expand our support groups. I want other people to know that they can lead a support group, and with our help that you guys can thrive and help other people in your community.
And we have a question here. Yes, this is recorded. We are currently streaming live on the Facebook pages for Looms for Lupus, Support Fibro, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can catch the recording. It will be there live. We'll just make sure all the links are updated and people are tagged so you can get all that information. I just can't get over it. I mean, definitely check out this abstract. We have a direct link in the description so you can share this. Please share the abstract around to other people in the community. Look at those share buttons right there. Share everywhere, LinkedIn, everything. But I did highlight some, and it may be a little bit difficult to read, but again, we'll do a more comprehensive video. So there are abstracts available on fibromyalgia. If you go to that abstracts.org link through the American College of Rheumatology and search fibromyalgia, you'll see some of the abstract posters for the ACR 2020. And we'll be sharing a lot of stuff on Twitter. It seems like it's so active to use the hashtag ACR 2020. And then you pull up and you actually can connect to these researchers. But they did take a look at pain in the time of COVID with fibromyalgia patients, and they were struggling a lot more to get healthcare, depression. It's one of the things I need to go through, honestly, is this cognitive impairment study. I'm really fascinated because, again, I'm fascinated by the brain and what's going on with fibromyalgia. And they do have an abstract on obstructive sleep apnea and fibromyalgia, a meta-analysis. So there is still work being done through the ACR on fibromyalgia, which is exciting.
Yeah, that right now that you talked about the apnea, a lot of people don't know this, but if you go to your neurologist, if you have fibromyalgia, you could actually ask for a take-home kit if they have them available so they can track your breathing at night. I worked with a neurologist for a little bit, and he gave me a unit to bring home, and I stopped breathing 7 times. So I don't need a breathing the breathing treatment like at night.
The CPAP?
The CPAP. I don't need it because I guess I needed to have stopped breathing more than 10 times or something like that. But it's so scary to think that with fibromyalgia that you might stop breathing, or you might have sleep, the breathing issues at night. So it's so important to know these things, and that's why we talk about it. So I'm glad that you're bringing it up. But yeah, we definitely need to summarize that a little bit more.
Well, and get into more details, because there's so much good research happening in the neurodegenerative diseases when it comes to getting enough oxygen to your brain. And they talk about it with Alzheimer's because you need enough oxygen when you sleep. And it's known with fibromyalgia, the sleep issues, unrefreshed sleep. And a lot of people end up doing sleep studies. It may not be completely sleep apnea, but how much oxygen are you really getting to your brain? And those pulse oximeters, especially the new Apple Watch, you can actually see if it goes down to a certain level. So this is stuff that I love talking about. And that's why I bring in that information, because the brain health is so important. And you may not be snoring, but you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain. So this is stuff that can be assessed, and it's difficult when you're doing a little bit of the at-home sleep test, but right now it might be preferred. So it's a whole conversation on sleep, because many of us can either not shut down our brains, or we're having some of the sleep apnea, restless legs. It just goes on forever.
Or just all 3 at the same time, which has been the case for me.
I know. Well, Jody, we can't even go into, we need a separate video for sleep. Oh, look, it's Brandy. Hello, Brandy.
Hi, Brandy.
We need a separate video just on sleep alone, because there's so much information there and there's so much going on and how we don't get that refreshed sleep. And there's more research coming out on fibromyalgia with sleep, and I don't know how we're supposed to do it.
And also, especially with the pandemic now, that other abstract that you were talking about and how it's affected us in the fibromyalgia community. So they did a survey in May. So that abstract talks about the survey that was conducted in May for a group of fibromyalgia patients. However, I wonder what the results would be now. Look, that was 2 months into the pandemic. Now we have been, in the pandemic, 8 months, 9 months. It would be interesting to see.
Oh, definitely, because I know I think what happened last week was just my adrenals and thyroid were finally crashing, which I had a bad feeling was going to happen at the beginning of the year, because we can't keep up with this sense of vigilance and stress. And you hear it on the regular news that, people who don't have chronic illness are struggling with sleep. Like, sleep has become such an issue for everyone. And then when you compound it with what we go through, and already, oh boy, yeah, we're going to have a lot of case studies on this. As sad as it is in the way that we had to go through it, it's definitely going to be some interesting science and hopefully help us with understanding things better. I mean, I think I even sent you an article on how doctors or medical or healthcare providers who have actually been through COVID, how some of them have become long haulers with COVID, and they're really starting to change their perspective on what it's like to live with a chronic illness within the medical system that we have. So these are some of our new allies that we need to reach out to.
Yes, and I think it's so important for providers, medical providers, to actually also talk about these things. There's, and I can't remember her name right now, the PA that's a professor, and I think it's in Laverne. She has a condition, and I think also Dr. Monica Blyde, she was also, they went on, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about how them as professionals, they had to struggle to get their diagnosis. So, it's just interesting to see that these providers are actually speaking out and, are going through the struggles or walking the walk like we are.
Yeah, and we need to be allies with them and share their information and just be working more with them to just change the mindset of other healthcare providers.
Yes, definitely.
Well, we're coming to the end. Were there any other news updates that you had? Yes, please, everyone, just give yourself a loving big hug right now. There's a lot going on in the world, so it's okay.
I just realized, and the reason I did this is yesterday or last night, I was watching something on TV, and they were talking about touch and how healing it is, and how hugs are always, so healing, and we are lacking that right now, right? And I mean, I hug my daughters. I'm a hugger, and to see my friends and not be able to hug them, or to see, like a neighbor and not hug them, it's just been, hard for me, and I'm sure it's hard for a lot of people. But if you can't hug another person, this what I watched yesterday is that if you touch, even if you just touch yourself, touch is healing, and just feeling your feelings and touching, that's very, very important. So I just did that, and it just felt so good. I just had to say that.
Well, I'm always trying to give my dog a hug. He's like,
and it's your dad's birthday. You'll be able to give him a hug because he lives with you.
Yes, it's a happy birthday to my dad. We are celebrating today, so making the best of some virtual celebrations with the family. But so I think people need to remember how to stay connected right now if you can't be physically close to people. And if you guys have any questions, comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We will be back with more updates from ACR and all of the great things happening next week. There's a lot of conferences. It's exciting.
Yes.
And we'll be sharing a lot of information on CRPS. So if you're not sure what that is or how to get diagnosed, these organizations have a lot of good information. So we'll be sure to share from advocates who have managed to get the diagnosis. And again, I know people that have been diagnosed first with fibromyalgia, and then it's been CRPS because they don't have enough specialists that can differentiate between the two. So there's a lot of things that we have to work on. And that's why, again, we also collaborate with communities like CRPS.
Definitely.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Or we were going to jump over to Instagram, right?
Yes, because that's how we do.
And before I forget, well, I think I briefly mentioned it, but next week we have a very special guest. We're welcoming Crystal from the Fibromyalgia Pain Chronicles and the Veteran Voices for Fibromyalgia. We're going to be talking about veterans' health and advocacy and having this great discussion because, again, I'm in awe really with the lupus community and the work that they've even done with the DoD and the VA system for lupus. So really gaining some momentum here for fibromyalgia. Crystal is really dedicated. I know we've been wanting to work on advocacy with Crystal for a long time. So I think we're going to have a really good conversation, and that's probably going to maybe go over an hour. I don't know. Stay tuned. We might have multiple
I know,
parts.
right? It's scary. There's like 3 of us, 3 talkers all at once.
Well, no, you and Crystal, yes. I love to. I have the problem is I have a lot of questions. Like that's maybe what signals our conversations to last longer because I'm intrigued by I like to ask a lot of questions and I like to listen to what people have to say. So I'm one of those. I instigate with questions.
Such a good team. And I think that's why my sister too and I have been able to work together for this long. And, we work together with Looms where we see each other almost every day. So it's just amazing. And I think it's the fact that we are not the same, because I think we'd probably drive each other nuts if she was like me.
Well, I love listening to what people have to say because I'm definitely curious and ask a lot of, because it's good. We need to have constructive conversations. We need to talk together and, maybe we can figure out a lot of these answers when we join up. That's the whole thing.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we're excited for next week. Shout out to all the veterans. We'll be celebrating you. Well, we should celebrate you every day, and thank you for everything that you do. But just looking forward to next week.
Yes, and thank you so much for tuning in. Please, if you have any suggestions on topics or things you want to hear, we would love to hear from you. Thank you.